Yeah. Hi, Rohit. Is this Rohit?
Hi Naresh. Hi, this is Rohit speaking.
Hi, Rohit.
How are
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Rohit. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm doing good, Naresh. Actually, I got a profile uh, for a DevOps role.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, yeah, Naresh. So, is it okay? We can start the interview.
Yes, 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 yeah, yeah, please.
Fine. So, Naresh, can you please tell me about your experience and your roles and responsibilities in your current project?
Yeah, sure, Rohit. Yeah. So I have like overall 5 years of experience with the DevOps and build activities, and most of my experience is into the build and the infrastructure by using AWS services. I have basically created VPCs, auto scaling, elastic load balancing in AWS, and also I made use of different services, in AWS like EC2 and S3 storage buckets and EBCs, Amazon Glaciers, AMIs, volume management, and etc. Snapshots. Okay, in continuous integration perspective, actually we are using Jenkins and Bamboo. I was involved in installing the Jenkins from the scratch and doing different jobs configuration, based on the client, customer in the requirements and like that. Okay, like in our environment, actually we are using a GitHub as a repository. Basically, we are storing the code source data in the GitHub. So we are following agile practices, and we used to create a branches for every sprint. Basically, once the sprint is done, and after the testing is completed on the particular sprint, then we used to do merges it to the master branch. So and we used to do the releases code to the production using that master bench code. Apart from this, we have introduced Ansible in our project recently, and I have good understanding of Ansible. So where I got chance to do research and explore and did some POCs. And also we have suggested to the customers we can use Ansible to automate our process in our project. So
Yep.
all like that, yeah. So
Okay.
this is what my current role and responsibilities I'm
Okay.
doing it.
So you have a hands-on like continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous delivery.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, can you elaborate that, please?
So basically, continuous integration is a software where the development practice that enables the developers to merge their code changes into the central repository to run automated builds and tests.
Okay.
Uh, Wherein continuous deployment is um, it's like a DevOps practice that refers to the building, staging, and delivering improvements to the software code. The most important part of the continuous deployment is that code is always in a deployable state. uh,
Mm-hmm.
well, coming to delivery is it's a final stage in the pipeline that refers to the automatic releasing of any developer changes to the production code.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, how is DevOps different from Agile methodology?
Uh, uh, Okay, so actually both are different. DevOps and Agile methodology is completely different. DevOps is basically I would say it's a culture. It's a culture that basically allows the developers and the operation teams to work together. So basically, this is DevOps basically it will gives like continuous deployment and testing, integration, deployment, and monitoring of the software throughout the DevOps lifecycle. But Agile is completely so different than DevOps. Agile is just like a software development methodology, and basically it focuses like iterative, incremental, small, and rapid releases of software along with the customer feedbacks.
Okay. So can you explain the different phases of DevOps?
Uh, you mean to say phases? Are you asking a phases?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think in DevOps basically we have like a plan, like code, mm, build. There are other phases like a test, integrate, deploy, operate, and monitor. So these are all DevOps phases.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how is like continuous monitoring will help you in the entire architecture? Like,
Uh, You are asking in a generic way or I mean.
Yeah, in a generic way. And are you using any continuous monitoring tool in your project?
Yes, we are using actually Nagios.
Okay.
So, as per my understanding, basically continuous monitoring in DevOps is it's a process of detecting,
Hmm.
identifying bugs and reporting any fault or threats in the entire infrastructure of the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. And can you tell me like any other few popular DevOps tools?
Yeah, I think like we have like a Jenkins, Git, Ansible, SonarQube, Nexus, Bamboo, yeah, etc., etc. Like Pop, Shepherd. These are all popular DevOps tools in the market.
Okay. So what is the role of AWS in DevOps?
Well, like actually, there are many roles are playing for the DevOps in AWS cloud. So, like in flexible services, it means like it's provide so ready to use and flexible services without need to install any setup the softwares kind of that. And also it you can manage a single instance or scale thousands of using AWS services, and also you can do automate multiple tasks and process, giving you more time to innovate all these things. And
Mhm.
also it's basically we can more is like security wise, like it's a we have a like identity manage access management, uh, it's IAM, like you can set the user permissions and the policies in that. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So are you using version control system in your project?
Yes, yes, we are using actually Git. Earlier I worked on the SVN. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So can you differentiate between centralized and a distributed version control system?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, actually, centralized is nothing but SVN, and the distributed control system is nothing but Git. So I think I completely focused on Git for the past 6 years. Like earlier, I worked on SVN. Yeah, but I can tell the differences. Like in centralized version control system, basically, what happens? All the versions are stored on a central server, and no
Hmm.
developer has a copy of all those files in his local machine. So that is another disadvantage, I would say. Like if the central server crashes, all the data from the project will be lost. So that is a major disadvantage in the centralized version control system. But wherein distributed control system like a Git is like every developer has a copy of all versions of his of the code on their on his system.
Hmm.
And also it enables team members to work offline also as well, offline, like they can, even though I mean he can also work in offline, and does not rely on any single location for the backups. So yeah, I think there is no threat, and even if the server also crashes, it's no problem in the while using the Git.
Okay. Fine. So can you tell me the Git command that downloads a repository from GitHub to your local system?
Yeah, I think it's a straight command. It's a where you can use git. I can tell you the command git clone and the repo URL. With that, you can download that repository in the local machine.
Okay. So how do you push your changes to GitHub?
Yeah, it's a single line command where you can use git push origin master.
Can you repeat again?
Git space push space origin space master.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell the difference for git fetch and git pull? What's the difference for git fetch and git pull?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Like basically, Gitfetch only downloads the data from your from the remote repository to the local repository. Basically, Gitpull updates the current head branch with the latest changes from the repository. I would say Gitfetch does not integrate any data into your local work files, but wherein Gitpull will fetch the data into the local working files. That's the major difference.
Okay. So what is git stash?
Git stash actually, it's a scenario. I think I can tell you one scenario.
Okay.
It's a kind of a, like, let's say a developer is working with a current branch. Okay, he want to switch to another branch to work on something else. but the developer does not want to commit changes to your unfinished work. Okay, so then the solution to this issue using the we can use the git stash. So basically git stash takes your modified track files and saves them on a stack of unfinished changes so that you can reapply at any time.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what kind of branching structure are you using in your project, and can you explain the concept of it, branching?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Like we have a multiple branches in our project, like Dev, QA, UAT, and Master. So suppose you are working on an application and you want to add a new feature to the application, you can create a new branch and build the new feature on that particular branch. I would say like by default, we always, I mean, by default, we always work on the master branch. So master branch have the production code where developers will not touch to the master branch. So each feature has to be modified only in the feature branches. So, and once the feature branch changes are done, then the developer will promote the code from feature branch to develop branch. So it follows other branches as well, like dev to QA, QA to UAT, UAT to the production.
Okay. So what is a merge conflict in Git, and how do you resolve it?
Hmm, Git, conflict uh, actually merge conflict happens, when you have merge branches with the competing for other commit changes, and
Uh,
basically
Naresh, just hold on. I'm getting a lot of disturbance from your side. Can you please?
sure, sure. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, is it
Yeah,
fine now?
yeah. Now it's okay. Good. Yeah, go on, Naresh.
Yeah, so what I was saying actually, it's a merge happens when multiple changes are happening to the same branches with competing with other commit changes. Like that time, like Git needs your help to decide which changes to be correct or incorporate in the final merge. So basically, that will take care by the developers. Only we will have to help the developers how to resolve the merge conflicts. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So are you using any deployment tool, like automation deployment tool?
Automation deployment tool. Yeah, we are actually using Ansible.
Hmm? No, I'm talking about this build deployment tool.
Yeah, Maven. We are using actually Maven.
Okay. Can you tell me the phases of Maven?
Sure, definitely. Like uh, mm, validate, clean, test, and install, package, deploy.
Okay. So what is a Jenkins file?
Basically, Jenkins file contains the, you know, uh, it's actually, I would say like it's a multiple steps, like where you allows the code review and iterate on the pipeline, and also it, like it permits basically it's a single source of it is a single source where you can have all the stages included in that script.
Okay. So
Yeah.
have you written anytime a Jenkins file?
Yes.
Okay. Mhm. So can you run Jenkins from command line?
Yes, we can run like java
Uh,
space hyphen
okay.
fn jar and
Mhm.
the var file of jenkins.var.
Okay. What are the key aspects of Jenkins pipeline?
Yeah, there are a few basically keys like a pipeline and node and
Mm.
step and stages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you define the dependency in Maven?
Uh, we have actually object file which is pom.xml. So all the dependencies and plugins information will be given in the will be given in the pom.xml file.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, who do you write a pom.xml?
No, basically developers will provide the pom.xml file, and we will like do some kind of a customizations, like in case if you want to integrate like Nexus or SonarQube,
Okay.
we can do that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you explain any two type of pipelines in Jenkins along with the syntax?
Yeah, I think Jenkins pipelines are basically two types, like a scripted pipelines and declarative pipelines. So yeah, so I mean, in the scripted pipelines, it's based on Groovy script. It's a, like a specific domain specific language. But wherein declarative pipeline, basically I would say it's a user friendly syntax. Like it's just a syntax of simple definition of the pipeline. Here you have like pipeline blocks defines how work done throughout the pipeline.
Okay. So how do you create a backup and copy files in Jenkins?
Uh, yeah, mm, I think in order to basically create a backup file, periodically backup your first of all backup your Jenkins home directory, and then
Mhm.
create a backup of Jenkins setup. Copy basically you need to copy the Jenkins home directory. You can also copy a job directory to clone or replicate a job to the
Okay.
particular directory. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the mainly security mechanisms that Jenkins uses for authentication of users?
Mm, authentication of users. You mean to providing access and all?
Yeah, yeah.
How they are
What are the,
managing?
yeah, yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
exactly,
I
exactly.
think I think there is a one way. Sorry, I think there are a couple of ways. Um, Jenkins also use like internal databases, and
Mm-hmm.
Jenkins also have LDAP. It's
Mm-hmm.
like LDAP, and server to authenticate users. Another way is like configured employee authentication mechanism using given credentials like that. Yeah.
Okay. So what is a different Selenium what are the different Selenium components?
Selenium comp. No, sorry, I never worked on Selenium
Oh,
components.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
fine, fine, fine. So yeah, coming to Ansible, like, what's an Ansible role?
Ansible actually is a configuration management tool. So in that role is basically play like independent blocks of task, variables, files, and templates inside a playbook.
Okay. So have you written any paid playbooks till now?
Yes, actually since I started working on Ansible, I got an opportunity to work with a few of playbooks
Mm-hmm.
in order to install Git on multiple missions using a playbook, and installing Apache Tomcat on developers missions. Yeah, on the servers.
Okay. How is Ansible different from Puppet?
Uh, I never worked on Puppet, but I have a some general idea about the Puppet. Like
Mm-hmm.
Ansible, as far as I understand, like Puppet is actually agent-based agent-based, but Ansible is actually agentless. Ansible uses actually Python code, and Puppet uses like Ruby code.
Mm-hmm.
Configuration files are written in YAML in Ansible, but configuration files will be written in DSL code. And Ansible won't support on Windows, but Puppet will support on all operating systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain the architecture of a Docker?
Yeah, sure. Actually, Docker actually uses a client server architecture. I would say, like Docker client is a service that runs a command. That commands basically translate using the APIs, like and it will be sent to the Docker servers. And also Docker servers accept the request and interacts with the operating system to build Docker images and Docker containers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I would say Docker image is actually a template of instructions, a lot of instructions, which is used to create a containers.
So what are the advantages of it over the virtual machines? Advantages of Docker over virtual machines?
I think earlier before Docker, we used to work on like we have like a virtual machine, but later on we adopted to Docker because of a lot of advantages using the Docker than virtual machine. Mainly, I would say memory. Like virtual machines basically occupies a lot of memory, but the Docker containers occupies a very less space, and also a booting time, it will take long time in the virtual machines, but in Docker a booting time is a very short. uh, um, yeah, I think in Docker, sorry, in virtual machine, like we will work on the physical servers, and in Docker we will work in the container based server. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult to scale up in virtual machines, and scaling up, having multiple instances in Docker is very easy, I would say. Yeah, I think these are all pretty much I know.
Okay. So what's a Docker file and what is it's used for?
Mm, Docker file, actually, it's we are using Docker file for to create the Docker images. We have like using the build commands. With the Docker image, any user can run the code to create a Docker containers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you tell me some of the Docker commands?
Uh, yeah, we have 100, I think more than 100 plus commands are there. So creating the containers and stop the running the containers. And also we have a networking commands, we have a volume commands, we have a swarm commands, and we have a registry commands. And there are a lot of commands are there.
Okay. Do you have any experience on Kubernetes?
No, I haven't worked on Kubernetes.
Okay. So can you tell me the difference between registry and repository?
Mm, I think registry is actually it's open source server open source. It's a server side service here. Basically, we host and distribute the Docker images, but repository is a collection. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
it's a collection of uh, different multiple versions of your Docker images.
Okay.
Yeah. So the repositories basically have the public and private repository, but Docker has its own default registry. It's like a Docker hub.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what all the cloud platforms that supports Docker?
Yeah, I think Docker supports all the cloud from platforms such as AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google
Mhm.
Cloud Platform, like Rackspace, etc. Like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's all, Naresh. I think I'm done with my interview. So, do you have any questions for me?
Um, no, Rohit, I'm good actually. I don't have any questions from my side.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. And what's your notice period?
Uh, 90 days?
Okay. Is it negotiable?
No.
Fine, fine. So, yeah, that's nice talking to you, Naresh. So,
Yeah.
yeah, HR will get back to you.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Rohit.
Thank,
Thanks for your
thank,
time.
thank you, Naresh. Bye.
Bye.